Hi, and welcome to video 1 on simultaneous equations. In this video we're going to look at some notation and expectations. I'll explain to you briefly what a simultaneous equation is, and we'll look at what makes a simultaneous equation work and some of the ideas behind solving simultaneous equations. So first of all, let's talk about what a simultaneous equation is. A simultaneous equation is two or more equations that can be solved for two or more variables. So it's really important to note here that typically, and in this topic, we'll be dealing with simultaneous equations as just two equations with two unknowns, two variables, and they're usually x and y. But you could have 10 equations with 10 unknowns. It's just going to take a little bit longer to solve. If you go on to do further levels of maths, you may look at simultaneous equations with more linear equations associated with them, or you might look at simultaneous equations involving quadratics or cubics. And there's also some really nice contexts that come up that naturally involve simultaneous equations with periodic functions and exponentials. But for now, we'll just be dealing with two linear equations with two unknowns. So there'll be two separate functions that combined together can be solved. So now let's talk very quickly about how we can solve simultaneous equations. So there's really three main ways to solve simultaneous equations. The first is trial and error, which typically you'd think of as maybe guessing a number or guessing a pair of numbers and they don't work, and then trying to use a bit of estimation to move closer and closer to the solution. I'll include in trial and error any approach that requires a logical outlook. So you may be thinking, well, clearly the solution must follow this pattern. Or you might use a graphical method, which we'll talk about in this series of lessons, or an algebraic method, which we'll really focus on in this series of lessons. And a graphical method is really effective, but isn't always perfectly accurate, and if we're doing the graphs by hand, can take a little bit of time. Algebraically, though, is a great way of approaching these questions and will work really effectively. To solve simultaneous equations, you'll need a whole range of skills. Some of those include substitution, rearranging equations, sketching linear functions, linear equation solving, and also the use of technology such as a graphic calculator or a program like Desmos or Autograph to sketch linear functions. Simultaneous equations can look like these types of functions. So an example is 2y plus 3x is equal to 7 and y equals 2x minus 3. Now you'll notice a few things as I move forward with examples later on. Usually I'll give the equations a label or a name. I'll usually call them 1 and 2, but you might call them A and B, or you might call them Bob and Josephine, whatever you'd like to call them, as long as you can refer to them later. You'll also notice that my equal signs are matched up so that they're in line, and I'll try and keep to this mathematical norm as I go. Now, simultaneous equations typically use x and y when we're doing textbook-like work, but they could use any pair of variables. So A and B might be an example, G and H comes up a lot, S and T, but also you might have simultaneous equations relating displacement and time, D and T. Or you might have simultaneous equations written in triangle and square. Yep, that's right, you could use a triangle and a square as your variables. It's not commonly done, but it doesn't mean it can't be done. Well, that's our summary on the information you'll need to know about simultaneous equations. So obviously you can go back and have a look if there's anything else you want to go back through. All the best.